Jedi weren't meant to be generals. Those words echoed through the Jedi Temple as Master Yoda assigned battalions to knights who had trained their entire lives for peace, not war. The 501st, the 212th, the 41st Elite, names that would become legendary across the galaxy, paired with Jedi forced to lead men grown in laboratories directly into slaughter. The 8 battles we're about to explore represent not just military conflicts, but moral ones. When Ahsoka Tano first met her master on the crystal fields of Cristophsis, neither realized their partnership would culminate in the brutal siege of Mandalore, occurring simultaneously with Order 66 itself. These chronological battlegrounds tell the true story of how the Republic fell, not through defeat, but through victory at any cost. The Battle of Cristophsis. First Blood. A separatist energy shield advances across the crystal landscape as Republic forces scramble for cover. Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi exchange worried glances. Their battalions are pinned down with nowhere to run. The crystalline plains of Cristophsis became the stage for the first major engagement of the Clone Wars, where the newly formed Grand Army of the Republic would truly be tested. The 501st Battalion, commanded by General Anakin Skywalker, alongside Obi-Wan Kenobi's 212th Attack Battalion, faced overwhelming separatist forces in what would become a blueprint for countless battles to follow. The towering crystal structures that defined Cristophsis' landscape proved both blessing and curse for Republic forces. While providing necessary cover, they also created narrow channels that restricted troop movement and limited tactical options. This tactical disadvantage wasn't merely bad luck. Behind Republic lines, Captain Rex and Commander Cody, the respective leaders of the 501st and 212th Infantry, uncovered a disturbing truth. Clone Sergeant Slick had been feeding critical intelligence to separatist commanders. This first instance of clone betrayal shook the foundation of trust within the battalions and explained why separatist forces always seemed one step ahead of Republic strategies. With morale already strained, the situation complicated further when a young Togruta arrived at the front lines. Ahsoka Tano, barely 14 years old, had been assigned as Skywalker's Padawan, a development that visibly frustrated the young Jedi Knight who never requested an apprentice. Her arrival couldn't have come at a worse moment, as she stepped into not just a mentorship, but an active war zone where experienced clones were already falling to enemy fire. The friction between master and apprentice intensified when Ahsoka began offering tactical suggestions that Anakin promptly dismissed, creating a dynamic that distracted from the pressing battle. The separatist deployment of their newest technology, a mobile energy shield that rendered Republic artillery useless, pushed the 501st and 212th to their breaking point. Clone casualties mounted as the droid army advanced behind this impenetrable barrier, methodically pressing forward while Republic forces could only watch their targeting systems report no effect after each barrage. In this moment of crisis, something unexpected happened. Rather than continuing to clash, Anakin and Ahsoka's divergent thinking styles merged into a solution neither would have conceived alone. While Obi-Wan suggested a direct, conventional assault on the shield, Anakin and Ahsoka proposed something far riskier. They would infiltrate enemy lines and disable the shield generator directly, allowing Republic artillery to resume effectiveness. The plan required perfect timing. While Obi-Wan's 212th held the front line in an increasingly desperate defense, Anakin and Ahsoka navigated through separatist positions using the crystal formations as cover. Their approach revealed Ahsoka's natural agility and Anakin's unconventional tactics, qualities that would define their partnership throughout the war. When they reached the shield generator, Anakin's technical expertise combined with Ahsoka's smaller size, allowing her to access maintenance panels too small for adults, proved decisive. As the shield collapsed, Republic artillery immediately opened fire on the now exposed droid army. The reversal was swift and complete, with separatist forces decimated within minutes of losing their technological advantage. The victory secured not just cristophsis, but a vital hyperspace lane that would become crucial for Republic supply movements throughout the Outer Rim. More importantly, it established a template for Republic battle strategy, the combination of traditional military tactics with the specialized capabilities of Jedi commanders. As clone troopers cleared the battlefield, something subtle but significant had changed between Skywalker and his new Padawan. The dismissive tone was replaced with cautious respect, and Ahsoka's eagerness tempered with newfound appreciation for the realities of warfare. "You're reckless, little one," Anakin noted, but his tone carried none of its earlier edge. The Battle of Ryloth. Liberation and inspiration. What happens when winning a battle means more than defeating the enemy on the field? On Ryloth, Republic forces confronted a challenge far more complex than battle droids: the profound distrust of the very people they'd come to liberate. The scars of separatist occupation ran deeper than bombed infrastructure and broken buildings. The liberation of Ryloth represented the Republic's first true test of its principles in action. Mace Windu's 91st Mobile Reconnaissance Corps found themselves fighting on two fronts, against droid battalions and for the confidence of traumatized civilians. Every patrol through a Twi'lek village became a diplomatic mission, with clone troopers functioning not just as soldiers, but as living symbols of Republic intentions. Are they any different from those who came before? This unspoken question hung in the air as Mace Windu's forces moved through settlements. The 91st challenge wasn't simply tactical, it was existential. Each interaction with Twi'lek civilians carried weight beyond immediate military objectives, requiring restraint and compassion rarely demanded in conventional warfare. The Republic's approach became further complicated when they encountered Cham Syndulla, leader of the local Twi'lek resistance. He saw Republic forces through the lens of recent history, as potentially exchanging one master for another. His initial refusal to cooperate revealed the fragility of trust in war zones and transformed a straightforward liberation into a complex negotiation about the future of Ryloth itself. Meanwhile, the 212th Attack Battalion under Obi-Wan Kenobi and Commander Cody faced the technical challenge of liberating heavily fortified settlements without collateral damage. On most battlefields, Republic artillery could simply reduce separatist strongholds to rubble. On Ryloth, such tactics would destroy the very homes and infrastructure they were fighting to protect. Ghost Company developed precision strategies that prioritized civilian safety over military expediency. A far more challenging path to victory, but one that demonstrated the Republic's stated values. In orbit above Ryloth, Ahsoka Tano faced her first major command test, leading the 501st Starfighter assault against the Separatist blockade. What should have been a textbook operation became a brutal lesson in warfare's unpredictability. Before their fighters even reached the planet's atmosphere, Ahsoka's squadron suffered devastating losses that forced a complete tactical reassessment. This space battle emphasized how the Republic's multi-pronged strategy required success on every front. Failure in any segment could doom the entire operation. What made Ryloth unique among Clone Wars battlefields was that military victory alone would constitute failure. The Republic needed not just to drive out separatist forces, but to do so in a manner that proved they were different. That clone armies came as liberators rather than conquerors. The turning point came not through superior Republic firepower, but through earned trust. When local Twi'leks witnessed clone troopers risking their lives to protect civilian areas, prioritizing Twi'lek safety over tactical advantage, perceptions began to shift. The resistance fighters, initially skeptical of Republic intentions, gradually joined operations, contributing invaluable local knowledge that conventional military intelligence couldn't provide. What followed demonstrated a truth often overlooked in discussions of the Clone Wars. Ordinary citizens could shape battlefield outcomes as decisively as Jedi or clones. Twi'lek resistance fighters, armed with improvised weapons and intimate knowledge of their homeworld's terrain, transformed potential military stalemates into decisive victories. Their participation created a hybrid force that combined Republic military discipline with indigenous tactical knowledge, a combination more effective than either could achieve independently. The Republic-Twi'lek cooperation ultimately liberated the planet's southern hemisphere, establishing a template that would inspire resistance movements throughout separatist-held territories. The Second Battle of Geonosis, coordinated Jedi assault. The Republic's victory on Ryloth faded quickly as intelligence revealed new droid factories on Geonosis, but how do you fight an enemy that learns from its defeats? The Second Battle of Geonosis wasn't just about destroying factories. It was about confronting an evolving threat that had turned the planet itself into a weapon. Intelligence confirmed the Separatists had rebuilt and expanded their droid production on Geonosis. This strategic necessity required unprecedented coordination. The Republic assembled a multi-pronged assault with 4 Jedi Masters and their forces. Obi-Wan Kenobi leading the 212th Battalion, Ki-Adi-Mundi commanding his forces through the canyon approach, Anakin Skywalker directing the 501st Legion for the main factory assault, and Luminara Unduli preparing for infiltration operations. Together with Padawans Ahsoka Tano and Barriss Offee, they commanded 3 distinct clone battalions in the largest coordinated Jedi operation of the war. The operation began with disaster. Republic gunships met devastating anti-aircraft fire as they approached Point Rain. "The landing zone is hot," echoed through comm channels as the planned convergence point became a battlefield. The separation of forces threatened the entire operation as the 3 battalions found themselves fighting isolated battles for survival. Kenobi's 212th Battalion became stranded behind enemy lines, establishing a defensive perimeter with their remaining troops. Meanwhile, Ki-Adi-Mundi faced the challenge of traversing a canyon under constant enemy fire, losing clones to snipers positioned in the rocky terrain. The Separatists had clearly studied Republic tactics since the first battle, exploiting known weaknesses in clone armor and formations. The 501st Legion encountered Geonosian warriors emerging from underground tunnels with sonic weapons that bypassed clone armor. These intelligent fighters used their natural connection to the planet's cave systems to outflank Republic positions, creating momentary gaps that droids quickly exploited. The Republic countered with its Flame Trooper Corps, whose flamethrowers proved devastatingly effective against the Geonosian exoskeletons. This marked the Republic's adaptation to insectoid biology and its shift toward harsher warfare methods. After reconnecting at Point Rain, Skywalker and Ahsoka led the frontal assault on the main factory, while Luminara and Barriss embarked on a stealth mission to plant explosives at the reactor core, demonstrating the versatility of Jedi battlefield roles. Deep beneath the surface, they discovered something far worse than their intelligence had indicated. A Geonosian queen conducting experiments with parasitic brain worms. These organisms could invade and control clone troopers, like a virus corrupting the Republic's military from within. Several clones were already infected, their bodies moving while their minds remained conscious, trapped and aware. The discovery transformed the mission from a conventional military operation into a containment crisis. The Republic now faced a biological weapon capable of converting entire battalions into unwitting separatist assets. The brainworms represented warfare evolving beyond physical weapons into something targeting not just bodies, but minds. An invasion that could hollow out the Republic from the inside while leaving its exterior intact. The Battle of Kamino, defending clone home. While the Republic struggled with mind-controlling parasites on Geonosis, an even more fundamental threat was taking shape elsewhere, one that struck at the very source of their military power. What happens when the enemy targets not just your soldiers, but the place where those soldiers are born? Kamino wasn't just another battlefield. It was the birthplace of the Grand Army of the Republic. The Separatists recognized this vulnerability and developed a strategy that could potentially end the war with a single devastating strike. Their target, Tipoca City, the gleaming cloning facility rising from the perpetually stormy oceans of Kamino. The assault began where nobody expected. While Republic forces prepared for conventional attacks from above, Separatist Trident-class assault ships, massive squid-like machines specially designed for underwater warfare, silently approached beneath the churning waves. These aquatic droids represented a tactical evolution in Separatist thinking, bypassing traditional defenses by drilling directly through Tipoca City's lower levels. The first sign of attack came not as explosions from above, but as tremors from below as the Trident ships breached the city's foundations. Water flooded into lower corridors as battle droids poured through the breach points, catching the Republic's defensive forces completely unprepared. Anakin Skywalker and Obi-Wan Kenobi arrived with reinforcements, but quickly found themselves facing a meticulously planned operation. General Grievous led a frontal assault to divert attention, while Asajj Ventress infiltrated deep into the city with a singular purpose: stealing the original Jango Fett DNA template from which all clone troopers were created. Without it, the Republic's ability to replenish its forces would collapse entirely. The battle's unique characteristic emerged as the clones fought with unprecedented ferocity. For the first time, they weren't fighting for some distant Republic ideal or faraway planet. They were defending the only home many of them had ever known. Corridors they had trained in became killing fields. Mess halls became medical stations. Dormitories became last stands. Jedi Master Shaak Ti, who oversaw clone training on Kamino, proved crucial in organizing the defense. Rather than just focusing on repelling the droids at entry points, she coordinated a strategic defense of the facility's most critical areas. Under her guidance, ARC troopers and veteran commanders formed a defensive perimeter around the DNA chamber, the very heart of the Republic's military future. Perhaps most remarkable was the role of Kamino's clone cadets. Though chronologically only 8 years old, their accelerated growth gave them teenage bodies and years of combat training. These cadets, who had never left their home world, suddenly found themselves thrust into real combat. Yet their intimate knowledge of Tipoca City's labyrinthine layout became an unexpected advantage. One particularly effective tactic involved leading droid units into Tipoca City's numerous training rooms, where the environment could be manipulated. Cadets would activate training obstacles, trapping droids in compartments or flooding chambers with water that short-circuited their systems. What had been training simulations for years became real-world defense strategies. The battle reached its climax when Ventress nearly escaped with the precious DNA sample. It was only through the combined efforts of the Jedi, veteran clones, and cadets that her plan was thwarted. The Separatist forces, finding themselves outmaneuvered in the city's complex architecture despite their initial surprise advantage, were eventually pushed back to their underwater transports and forced to the Battle of Umbara. The victories at Kamino preserved the Republic's future soldiers, but on Umbara, those same troops would face an enemy far more insidious than droids. A darkness that challenged not just their vision, but their very conception of loyalty. The shadow world of Umbara became the testing ground for something fundamental to the Republic military: the capacity of clones to question orders when those commands contradicted their deeper purpose. The 501st Legion's arrival on Umbara coincided with an unexpected command transfer. General Anakin Skywalker was recalled to Coruscant, placing his trusted battalion under the temporary command of Jedi Master Pong Krell. The transition proved jarring from the outset. Where Anakin had fostered individual thinking and tactical flexibility, Krell demanded absolute obedience with no room for clone input or adaptation. Captain Rex found himself in an increasingly impossible position as the campaign progressed. Krell's battle plans consistently prioritized rapid advances over trooper safety, employing direct frontal assaults against heavily fortified positions. The casualty rates mounted with each engagement, creating a growing sense of unease among the veterans of the 501st, who had become accustomed to Anakin's more measured approach. What made Krell particularly formidable was his distinctive combat style. Unlike most Jedi generals who wielded a single lightsaber, Krell dominated the battlefield with two double-bladed lightsabers. His 4 spinning blades created a defensive perimeter that seemed impenetrable, adding to the aura of intimidation he cultivated among the troops. This martial prowess made questioning his tactical decisions even more difficult for the clones under his command. The breaking point came not from a clash with Umbaran forces, but through a devastating deception orchestrated by Krell himself. Under his direct orders, the 501st advanced to engage what they believed were Umbarans disguised in stolen clone armor. In reality, they were firing upon members of the 212th Battalion, who had similarly been told they were engaging disguised enemies. The realization came too late. The horror of this friendly fire incident, brothers killing brothers, shattered the remaining trust between the 501st and their Jedi general. Standing amid the bodies of their fallen comrades, the surviving clones faced a moral crisis unprecedented in the war. The truth emerged through communication between the battalions. Krell had deliberately orchestrated this tragedy. His betrayal ran deeper than tactical disagreement. He had been working for the Separatists, hoping to curry favor with Count Dooku and become his new apprentice. The shadow world of Umbara had revealed the shadowy nature of a fallen Jedi. Led by Captain Rex, the 501st made the unprecedented decision to arrest their own general. The ensuing confrontation in the Umbaran Command Center demonstrated Krell's full fighting capability as he cut down numerous clones before finally being subdued. The clones' ultimate execution of Krell for treason marked a profound shift in their relationship with Jedi leadership. When forced to choose between following orders and upholding the principles they were created to defend, the clones demonstrated moral agency that transcended their programming. The Battle of Coruscant. This was a crucial battle that took place in 19 BBY on the surface and in orbit of the planet Coruscant, the capital world of the Galactic Republic, during the waning days of the Clone Wars. Separatist leaders, head of state Count Dooku and Supreme Marshal Commander of the Separatist droid armies, General Grievous, launched a massive and unprecedented assault on the Republic capital, alongside a massive Separatist fleet of over 1,000 warships flagged by the Invisible Hand. They were ordered by the Dark Lord of the Sith, Darth Sidious, publicly known as Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine, to kidnap the Chancellor as part of his plot to bring Jedi Knight Anakin Skywalker closer to the dark side of the Force. As the two fleets engaged one another in orbit, the Kaleesh General proceeded with his mission to capture the Supreme Chancellor as he evaded the planet's defense forces and landed on Coruscant's surface in the Federal District alongside a strike force. During the battle, the Galactic Senate building and its surrounding areas would be consumed in flames. To assist the Jedi generals in their mission to rescue Palpatine, elite clone trooper pilots of Clone Flight Squad 7 under clone pilot Davajan, otherwise known as Oddball, proceeded to eliminate necessary targets and stayed close in case the Jedi needed cover on their way out of the ship. The Republic crafts made an aggressive push to try to trap as many enemy capital ships as they could, but ultimately the ship fighting became a slugging match and there were heavy casualties on all sides. Amid the chaotic engagement, the two Jedi generals, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, taking advantage of its confusion, flew into the center of the battle-boarding Grievous's command ship. Upon their infiltration of the Invisible Hand, Kenobi and Skywalker were able to navigate themselves throughout the warship's interior to the Chancellor's location, where they were confronted by the Sith Lord Dooku, who was subsequently executed by Skywalker at Palpatine's behest after a brief duel. Grievous became the Confederacy's new head of state upon Dooku's death, as he ordered the immediate withdrawal of his remaining forces and proceeded to flee into the Outer Rim. With Grievous's retreat, the Chancellor assured the Republic that the war would instead continue as long as the general still lived. As a result, the task of locating Grievous became the Jedi Order's highest priority as they began to conduct extensive searches throughout the galaxy. The Battle of Utapau. Once the Galactic Republic's clone intelligence had managed to discover the location of Grievous on Utapau, the Jedi High Council decided to send Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi to lead the battle, after rejecting Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine's recommendation of sending Anakin Skywalker. When Obi-Wan Kenobi and the 7th Sky Corps landed on Utapau, their mission seemed straightforward. Eliminate the last Separatist leader and end the war. But every move in this operation served Palpatine's hidden agenda. The 212th Attack Battalion secured the Sinkhole City's upper levels, while Obi-Wan pursued Grievous, unaware their positions were being recorded for future targeting. Kenobi commandeered a Varactyl beast named Boga as a mount, and rode in secret to infiltrate the hangar of the modified core ship. After the Separatist Council departed the hangar, Kenobi revealed himself by dropping from the catwalk above the hangar. The battle droids that surrounded him were called off by Grievous as he decided to challenge Kenobi himself. Grievous remained unable to penetrate Kenobi's defense, as the latter kept the fight close to the cyborg and was able to amputate 2 of Grievous' robotic arms. Grievous managed to grab Kenobi by the collar and throw him across the platform, with Kenobi barely managing to grab onto the edge. Desperately hanging on, Kenobi used the Force to summon Grievous's E5 blaster to his hand, blasting 5 well-placed shots through the gaps in the General's armor-class chest plates, killing him. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, Anakin Skywalker turned to the dark side of the Force and became Sidious's Sith new apprentice, Darth Vader. The newly anointed Sith Lord led an attack on the Jedi Temple with the 501st Legion. It was at that time that Cody and all clone commanders received a message from Supreme Chancellor Sheev Palpatine, instructing them to execute Order 66 as part of a purge on the Jedi Order. The biochips in the clones were activated and immediately brainwashed them into believing that the Jedi were traitors to the Republic that needed to be executed. Once Cody's biochip got activated, he got brainwashed into believing that Kenobi was a traitor to the Republic that needed to be executed, despite serving under Kenobi and being his friend. He didn't hesitate to turn his guns on all the Jedi who'd fought beside him for 3 years. The timing wasn't coincidental. Palpatine synchronized the executions across the galaxy, using the very battalions the Jedi had trusted most. The battle's aftermath revealed the cruel efficiency of Palpatine's design. Units that suffered heavy losses defending Coruscant, like the 501st and 212th, received priority reinforcements before being deployed to key Jedi locations. Even Grievous's tactical decisions played into this. His retreat through Utapau's tunnels forced Obi-Wan to separate from his troops, making him an easy target when the order came. The Siege of Mandalore. The 332nd Company stood as a testament to connection forged beyond rank and duty, their distinctive orange-marked helmets deliberately mirroring Ahsoka Tano's facial markings, a visual pledge of allegiance to someone outside the Republic's chain of command. Selected from the most capable soldiers of the 501st Legion, these troopers carried their markings as badges of honor to the former Jedi who had walked away from the Order but never abandoned her principles. As Republic ships descended toward Mandalore, tragedy already loomed. The Battle of Coruscant raged simultaneously, drawing away Jedi Masters and veteran battalions. Ahsoka's specialized force represented the Republic's only commitment to the Mandalorian crisis, the final operation before the Republic's metamorphosis into something unrecognizable. Sundari became a 3-dimensional battlefield unlike any previous engagement. Mandalorian warriors, both Bo-Katan's loyalists and Maul's Shadow Collective, transformed combat zones where danger struck from every angle. The battle climbed vertically through the city's architecture and stretched horizontally through streets and sewers, demanding tactical adaptation from soldiers unprepared for such combat. Beneath this visible conflict ran deeper currents of manipulation. When Ahsoka confronted Maul, he revealed knowledge that shattered her understanding of the war. "You're all going to burn," he warned, his voice carrying the weight of genuine dread rather than mere malice. His fear of Sidious's intentions cast the entire operation in shadow, suggesting that victory might inadvertently serve a darker scheme. After fierce fighting through Sundari's districts and a spectacular lightsaber duel showcasing how far both combatants had evolved beyond their apprentice roles, Ahsoka captured the former Sith Lord. This triumph should have concluded the difficult campaign. Instead, it marked the precise moment when the war's architect activated his endgame. With a single command broadcast across the galaxy, Chancellor Palpatine transformed loyal clone troopers into executioners. Order 66 activated dormant programming within every clone's inhibitor chip, overriding years of bonding and battlefield trust. The company whose painted helmets had symbolized devotion to Ahsoka turned their blasters toward her without hesitation. In this darkest moment came an act of profound resistance. Captain Rex fought his programming long enough to give Ahsoka crucial information. Recognizing what was happening, she captured Rex and surgically removed his inhibitor chip, freeing him from the control that had claimed his brothers. This intervention represented more than saving a single clone. It directly countered Sidious's orchestrated plans. As the Republic cruiser carrying Maul crashed on a remote moon, Ahsoka and Rex staged their own deaths, leaving buried helmets and clone armor as false evidence. The Siege of Mandalore concluded with survival as its only metric of success. Looking back at these pivotal battles, a darker truth emerges. The Clone Wars wasn't merely a conflict of ideologies, but a carefully orchestrated deception. Each engagement served as a stepping stone in Palpatine's grand design. Both sides were manipulated in this cosmic tragedy. The transformation of the Republic into the Empire was the war's purpose all along. Democracy died not through battlefield defeat, but through calculated erosion. Like a fortress conquered not by siege, but by poisoning its own water supply. Was freedom truly lost or willingly surrendered? If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and force push the notification button.